I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place the mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I'm an expert, and I'm a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am Army Strong.
There's strong, and there's Army Strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, how y'all doing out there tonight? You know, I miss you when we're not talking. Nah, I really do, I promise. All right, I wasn't with you guys last night, and I'd planned something special, but I ran out of time to get it done. So you got a bonus play of one of my favorite episodes, and it was with my special guest, Justin, who is a PhD student on terrorism. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's still great information. So, what is going on in the world today? There's a lot. I say that every time. I know I do. But it's true. And today is no different. So, we've got a lot of Middle East stories, because if you haven't heard, Aleppo, and yes, that was the show prep, is worse than ever. Oh yes, worse than ever. And I even have a little bit on North Korea. I've got State Department news. I've got Operation Inherent Resolve updates. I've got all kinds of intrigue. I always try and keep it interesting. And there's even the word on the street that Daesh may now have air defense equipment left in Palmyra. So like I said, there's always a ton going on. And today is no different. Yes, I'm kind of sorting through my show prep while we're talking. Don't I usually? No, I do. You always hear this paper in the background. Come on, you know it. I've got some Iranian news. I found the funniest story. I'm going to start off with the funniest one, and we'll get to the other more serious stuff in just a minute. And I didn't even know this existed, but it's gone now, so we're going to start off with North Korea. Yes, we are starting with North Korea. And I know you're sitting scratching your head. If Aleppo is such a big deal, why are we starting with North Korea? Well, I'll give you a real simple answer. This way, I can get it out of the way, we can move on, and we can talk about more stuff. Alright, first we'll do the serious North Korean story. South Korean naval vessels rescued 8 North Korean nationals adrift at sea, but all crew members said they wished to be repatriated to the north. A Seoul government source was quoted saying the men were found on 3 separate ships that were lost at sea for at least 2 months. One of the boats contained a body of one crew member who died of starvation. Boats were discovered on December 11th and 12th off the eastern Korean peninsula, where they had floated into South Korea's exclusive economic zone. All 8 crew members found on the 3 boats expressed their intention to return to North Korea. We're looking for ways to contact North Korea to return the sailors, but reaching out to North Korea may pose challenges for Seoul. Pyongyang terminated an inter-Korea communication channel at the truce village of Panmunjom, previously used by the military. The line was cut after suspension of operations in February at the jointly operated factory park in Kaesong. North Korean ships that usually drift into South Korean territorial waters are often handed over to the north from the northern limit line on the western coast. Badly damaged North Korean boats are restored prior to repatriation, but Yonhap's source said one of the 3 boats was beyond repair. In August, 3 North Koreans promptly sought asylum after being found at sea by South Korean Coast Guard. Alright. Got another one. This isn't the funny one. We're getting to the funny one. I promise we're getting there. YouTube in North Korea, come on, tell me that doesn't just reek of, there's gotta be humor in here somewhere. Alright, found it too. Alright. I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you're a regular listener to the show, I know you are. Everything, and I mean everything, in North Korea is heavily controlled. So, Mr. Frog, please go away and don't come again another day. This includes television and in some cases even haircuts you're allowed to have. Can smuggled TV shows change North Korea? The North Korean government views the possession of unauthorized foreign information and media as a crime against the state, with punishments ranging from hard labor in political prison camps to the death penalty. Despite such draconian consequences, ordinary North Koreans are consuming foreign media at a rapid pace. These illicit TV shows, movies, and radio programs are helping to transform how North Koreans see the outside world, and more importantly, how they view their own government. Interviews with defectors and research in the country make clear that seeds of doubt about the regime are being planted in North Korean minds, prompting new ideas and more autonomous thinking. Foreign media alone will not rapidly transform the country, but the trend offers hope for incremental political change. During the Cold War, the United States sponsored information programs aimed at Soviet citizens with the hope of creating internal pressure for liberalization. Banned literature, radio programs, and magazines circulated within the Soviet bloc with the help of anti-Soviet emigres. It worked. The information helped the Soviet government's claim that communism was a superior form of helped undermine the Soviet government's claim that the communism was a superior form of government. The spread of information in North Korea could have the same effect. North Korea's information underground has its origin in the famine of 2 decades ago, which killed 800,000 to 2 million people. Because North Koreans turned to unofficial and illegal markets, today an estimated 2/3 of the population depends on hundreds of street markets for food and other goods, including foreign media. A nascent market economy has taken root. Human smugglers, drones, DVDs, thumb drives, helium-filled balloons, and airborne leaflets are all used to get information into the Hermit Kingdom. The distribution networks have become so sophisticated that people in some parts of the North can watch popular South Korean dramas just 24 hours after they've aired in Seoul. People working for defector-led non-government organizations in South Korea receive text messages from their North Korean contacts with specific requests for foreign TV shows and movies. 24-year-old defector from Musan, North Korea, who described herself as a foreign movie fanatic when she still lived in the North, told me that she'd learned in textbooks that South Koreans ran around naked and starving because they were so poor. But South Korean movies showed her that her teachers were teaching falsehoods. I quickly realized that South Korea was more developed than North Korea. Defector interviews and research about the North help paint a picture of a country undergoing social and political change. More North Koreans are engaging in illegal social activities and behavior, including mimicking of Seoul-style ways of speaking and wearing unapproved hairstyles and clothes to imitate South Korean celebrities. There are reports that North Korean millennials are trying out Western courtship practices like dating after watching TV shows and movies from South Korea and the United States, violating the conservative Confucian codes of conduct between the sexes. Alright, so yes, the TV and movies that get smuggled into North Korea could actually help change things. Now, I do have a couple final comments. After a former North Korean computer science professor, Kim Hung Kwang, who now directs North Korean Intellectual Solidarity, one of several organizations that send information into North Korea, told me what it was like to come across the first foreign radio programs while living in the North. After a diet of propaganda from the Pyongyang government, North Koreans can find truthful information from abroad confusing, even shocking. But eventually, he said, your mind opens up without you even realizing it. Alright, the funny North Korean story. YouTube and North Korea, come on. You gotta know something's fishy here. YouTube has blocked North Korea's state television channel, which broadcasts news on everything from nuclear tests to Kim Jong-un's outings, to avoid breaching U.S. sanctions against the regime. The action was apparently taken not because of the content in the channel, but because the North Korean government could earn money from YouTube through advertising. The account has been terminated for violating YouTube's community guidelines. A message on the Korean Central Television Channel's page reads, the YouTube community guidelines ban videos that include violent, sexual, or harmful content or breach copyright. Google, YouTube's parent company, also asks users to flag content that may violate the law. Google apparently blocked the channel last month to avoid violating sanctions, but the company has declined to comment. Okay, even I follow North Korea, come on, you know I do, didn't know North Korea had a YouTube channel. And 2, I find it hilarious that Dash can get away with posting their content on various places, run YouTube places and Twitter and all this, but North Korea, a country, can't have a YouTube channel. If that just doesn't scream hilarious, I don't know what is. The channel showed North Korea's evening news broadcasts and other propaganda programs. It featured breaking news at times. YouTube decision has disappointed analysts who use the channel for insights into this most impenetrable of states. While it provided daily news shows on events the regime wanted showed countrywide, it also helped give context to structures I would normally only see via satellite images, said David Schwimmer, a researcher at the James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies in Monterey, California. Using the YouTube account for image collection along with other sources allowed North Korean watchers to have a much fuller sense of how something unfolded. This led to a better understanding of an event, even if North Koreans tried to hide or spin a particular event as being a success when it may not have been. Although other YouTube channels also broadcast North Korean news bulletins, this one was the fastest one and the most reliable source of images. The channel's termination also means that the archive of videos that analysts pored over has also disappeared. Analysts estimate the amount of money the channel was making was probably minimal. Trust me, it was minimal. Unless you get thousands of likes and clicks and plays on a single video, you're not going to make more than pennies, folks. So if you're dreaming of starting your own YouTube channel to get rich, don't quit your day job. No, just don't. So North Korea is founded, South Korea want to go back. South Korea hasn't figured out how to send them back. Smuggled TV shows are having an impact in North Korea. And YouTube killed North Korea's channel. That's quite a unique batch of North Korean news. Hang on 2 seconds, I'm moving something around. There we go. I had something blocking my reach to the microphone, and I wanted to move it so I don't have to keep leaning around and twisting and turning. We do have a lot more stuff coming up, but since I only have 9 minutes before the bottom of the hour, I'm going to save the heavy-duty dose of Middle Eastern news until the second half of the show. And this is going to cover Palmyra, a little bit about Mosul, Aleppo, and a few other twists and turns. just looking for a piece of show prep. You know I never have it all arranged. Come on. When do I actually have it all tucked away neat and orderly? You guys wouldn't know what to do if that ever happened. Although I'm going to have to start doing it. I really am. Because, quite honestly, stack of paper is just like the shifting sands of the Middle East. Ever changing. So let's discuss. Alright, where is it? I'm looking for the right piece of paper. Alright, the FBI director has said that once the major strongholds for Daesh in the Middle East fall, he sees they're becoming a terrorist diaspora. In other words, the terrorists will leave their strongholds and go west. They will come to Western cultures and Western lands. And that's not something I think any of us would like to see. So, I'm going to remind you of something. Keep your eyes peeled, head on a swivel, and if you see something and it just doesn't feel right, say something. I would rather see you call someone and have it be nothing than go, it doesn't feel right, but it may be nothing, and have it actually turn out to be something that you read about a week later. Just trust me, that's not fun. I had a friend who saw something, didn't say something, and something went horribly wrong. They live in another country, so don't even start thinking huge, crazy stuff. It was something in Israel. Thankfully, no one lost their life that time. Alright, we're going to discuss the U.S. Army. And this one came up because, well, as you know, I'm an Army wife, as well as a Special Forces widow, and also Daesh has been threatening and using some chemical weapons. So, the Army is redoing its training program on chemical, biological weapons. The Army requires the capability to capture all information generated on the battlefield throughout history, and a way to provide improved situational awareness and early warning to soldiers on the ground, the air, and at sea. All military forces the world over have used some type of sensor, beginning with men. The method of dissemination network began with couriers to alert leaders and soldiers of incoming threats. Think of Paul Revere. He was essentially a courier. So there's a lot going on, and here's a couple things, and this is publicly available information. You just got to know where to look for it. I promise you, this is all open source. They are starting TRADOC, Training and Doctrine Command, the people that make up the training programs, have come out with a multi-layered, intelligent, self-healing network of smart, disparate sensors, active and passive, and weapon systems connected to a cognitive computing system. The cognitive computing system processes, amalgamates, and analyzes data to provide commanders with contextual insights that enable real-time, early warning, planning, execution, and mission command while providing multi-domain 3D situational awareness at the tactical level through strategic levels. Now, when this is fully implemented, it will provide the Army and joint services with superior overmatching capabilities in critical areas where peers strive to have an 8th grade level. Army leaders will need to adopt different training and education methods to ensure future soldiers achieve at least a minimal baseline level skill. The focus is on technologies and methods to accelerate learning experience, emotional maturity, and judgment across training domains, while reducing time and expense. Live training in the field, using troops and equipment, continues to be highly desirable but extremely expensive and resource-intensive. Computers and electronic devices have introduced capabilities that require training the categories of live, virtual, constructive, and gaming environments. Live training is executed using assigned equipment, real people operating real systems. Live training may be enhanced by training aids, devices, and simulators. A virtual element is a computer-generated 3D environment that displays geospecific or geotypical terrain. It is interactive, allowing participants to move, navigate, and act within the environment. Excuse me. Constructive trading uses computer models, tools, interfaces, and simulations to exercise mission, command, and staff functions. Gaming. Army gaming is the use of commercial and government off-the-shelf products and technology. Yes, you just heard that. Army gaming is the use of commercial and government off-the-shelf products and technology with multiple types of interactive computer-based applications. These products are low in cost, have low overhead, and establish good enough conditions for individual, leader, and unit-level training in education and mission rehearsal. Alright, next, I swear, in the next couple years, we're going to hear about soldiers playing Call of Duty to sharpen their skills. And I am not kidding. And I don't have the information on the chemical biological training, however, they are working on upgrading it, and I know that they recently upgraded some of their protective gear. Alright, we are almost at the bottom of the hour. So, when we get to the other side of the commercial break, we're going to talk Syria, Aleppo, Mosul, Palmyra, air defense systems, and more. On that note, folks, I'm going to take my commercial break just a tad early, so you hang in there, and I will see you on the other side.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from the critique of the short story through to line edits on full-length novels. We also offer assistance on generating writers' bios for your websites. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-757-2782. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-757-2782. That's 877-757-2782.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
All right, thank you for hanging in there with me over that brief commercial break. All right, as I promised, there was an Operation Inherent Resolve update today, and I've got some outstanding audio clips for you. Give me just a minute to get it queued up.
What, if anything, you all are seeing in terms of the evacuations out of Aleppo? Are you seeing any people moving out of Aleppo at all?
I watched the Aleppo on TV. It's horrible, like most of you. And I read intelligence, so I get special access to intelligence about Aleppo, but Aleppo is not in our charter here. So I'm blessed, although it's a curse. The complicator is we have a civil war right next to our war, even overlapping our war here against ISIL or Daesh. But I'm not responsible for what's going on for the coalition in Aleppo. The coalition's not doing that, so I can't really comment on the withdrawal or the end is near or any of that. You probably know about as much about it as I do.
All right, sorry I let that run just a hair long. But there is a lot going on in Aleppo, but just remember, Aleppo isn't what we are doing. Now, I've got one here for you on Raqqa. Let's take a quick listen.
The Syrian Democratic Forces are marching to isolate Raqqa. Now, once they get isolation in position, we'll probably have another pause for a planning event as to how to go about the seizure and liberation of Raqqa. But one thing we're agreed on is that the hold forces will consist of folks from the local area. And that's pretty much been the mode of operation for all of these liberations in Iraq and Syria, is ultimately the security gets turned over to folks from the local area.
All right, so that's their plan for Raqqa. They want to surround it, then figure out how they're going to retake it, and then find the people to hold it. Why did we start this before we had a plan in place? I have no clue. but we did. So we're kind of stuck with it. So, what can I say? It seems like one of those things of chaos central and the cart before the horse. I don't know how else to describe it. There's not much I can do. So, alright, we've got some more stuff. Dash militants from Dash may have gained... Oh yeah, you ready for this one? Militants from Dash may have gained air defense capabilities. Oh yeah. No, I'm not kidding. Air defense capabilities. How? I don't know. Why? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know how. Remember Palmyra? Well, Dash kind of retook it, remember? So... yeah. Let's take a listen. I'll let the general explain it. He does a better job than I do.
I expect that the Russians and the regime will address it here in short order. It's complicating our life a little bit because the ISIL's managed to get their hands on some equipment there. We're watching that, and as soon as we have an opportunity, if the Russians and the strike it, we will.
All right. I know it broke up at the end. That's just the way... that's just the way the audio came. He was doing it via Skype from Baghdad through to, that was Lieutenant General Townsend. He was using Skype to connect into the Pentagon to give the press briefing. Yes, even the government uses Skype from time to time. Here's another Aleppo clip. I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but they all do tie together.
More imperative than ever that we
this is State Department. We'll get to them in a minute. All right, let's take a listen to this one.
I expect that the Russians and the regime will address it here in short order. It's complicating our life a little bit.
We just played that one.
Your first question, I think, was about equipment seized at Palmyra by ISIL. So I'm not really exactly sure. They didn't send us an inventory of what they've seized there. We believe that it includes some armored vehicles and various guns and other heavy weapons, possibly some air defense equipment. Basically, anything they seize poses a threat to the coalition. But we can manage those threats, and we will.
So they've got to now basically manage what Russia's fouled up. What can I say? Russia took their eye off the ball, lost Palmyra, and now U.S. military has to pick up the pieces. That ain't cool, folks. I think I've got the full audio clip here. Let me see what I got.
Your first question, I think, was...
Nope. Let me see if I can find the other audio clip I wanted. I had a really good one. I love doing these audio clips because you get to hear the information straight from the horse's mouth. I think it starts right about here.
And I read intelligence, so I get special access to intelligence about Aleppo, but Aleppo is not in our charter here. So I'm blessed, although it's a curse. The complicator is we have a civil war right next to our war, even overlapping our war here against ISIL or Daesh. But I'm not responsible for what's going on for the coalition in Aleppo.
Okay, that was the Aleppo comments. Let me find the Palmyra ones. I didn't get to fully prep mine tonight. I had to eat dinner at some point.
But I'm not responsible.
Hang on. Goes on at length about some topics. Let's see what this one is.
ISIL has launched a counterattack there and taken Palmyra in the last couple of days. The Russians and the Syrian regime took it from ISIL some months ago. ISIL has retaken it from them. Personally, I think they probably took their eye off the ball in Palmyra because they were so focused on Aleppo, and they didn't properly secure their gains. So ISIL has been looking around the battlefield trying to get some sort of victory to reverse the loss of his narrative across Iraq and Syria. They tried a few spoiling attacks in Iraq and Syria against the coalition forces and our partners. They've been unsuccessful.
So they've been failing against the United States. They had to look for somebody weaker. I like it when they've got to look for weaker people. I wish they didn't exist at all. But I prefer it when they're looking for weaker targets. Alright, let me see if I can find the one other audio clip I prepped. Already played that one. Alright. So there, unless you live under a rock, you know the situation in Aleppo is terrible. And let's go back to the State Department's statement. As usual, it was a lot of babble. I tried to cut him off at a decent point. He went on for almost 6 minutes. You didn't need 6 minutes of the secretary. You didn't need it. So I came up with 42 seconds of it.
More imperative than ever that we begin to get a process in place to allow for the resumption of political talks between the opposition and the regime. Because we continue to believe, the Secretary stressed again in all these conversations, that the only way to solve the civil war is through a political solution. That more violence, more bloodshed, siege, starvation, and surrender tactics, such as what we're seeing in Aleppo, is not only not the right way to end it, it cannot be put to an end that way. That this will be nothing more than the continuation of the war in Syria, the attraction.
All right, so the Secretary of State John Kerry spoke today with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov and other parties. Basically, he said that the Syrian Secretary Kerry expressed grave concern of the deteriorating situation in Syria, particularly for continued Russian and Syrian regime attacks on hospitals, the water supply network, and other civilian infrastructure in Aleppo. State Department spokesman John Kerry, Secretary, made it clear the United States and its partners hold Russia responsible for this situation, including the use of incendiary, in other words, fire, and bunker buster bombs in an urban environment. A drastic escalation that puts civilians at great risk. There was a ceasefire that was declared, but it never really got off the ground. It lasted just a brief period of time. And the Secretary of State informed the Russian Foreign Minister that the United States is making preparations to suspend U.S. bilateral engagement on Syria, unless Russia takes immediate steps to end the assault on Aleppo and restore the cessation of hostilities. All right, folks, Aleppo is a lost cause. I don't want these people harmed. I don't want to see them hurt. But unfortunately, Aleppo is out of our control. Bashar al-Assad, remember, pull out your scorecard, your Syria scorecard. Yeah. Bashar al-Assad is being propped up by Russia, Iran, and China. Now, what's interesting is that the Secretary Kerry also spoke. Let me see if I got the audio on that, and I do. see what I have here.
More imperative than ever.
It's the same one we heard. Let me see. I got a little more. Where's the good clip? I think it starts right here. Let's try and take a listen.
This podium from the secretary from the UN ambassador yesterday from the White House. What is the goal of all of this? I mean, we've been hearing the same message for many months, in fact, for years, yet nothing has really changed to stop it. So what is the goal right now of kind of laying all the blame on Russia? What are you doing differently to stop the war now?
Well, I don't know if you meant it this way. It's not like the goal is to lay the blame on Russia. The responsibilities are rightfully being applied to Russia because they're the country with the most influence on Assad. We've seen it when they can and are willing to use that influence. We've seen it work positively, and just as much as recently we've seen when they're not willing to do it, we end up where we are right now in Aleppo. So it's not just about laying responsibility where it belongs, and the outcome that we want is the same outcome, frankly, that we've been trying to achieve now for better than 8 years.
Yeah, the outcome they wanted is the same thing they've been trying to achieve. And like the reporter said, what's different? I'm going to tell you, not much of anything, folks. They're repeating the same. They're essentially kicking a dead horse. There is no point to this dead horse. I don't know why they keep kicking it. Can we please move along? Now, I've got a little bit from Mosul, and there's not a lot about the capture of Mosul, the retaking of Mosul from Daesh. There is an article on the Daily Beast. It says Daesh is preparing for the final battle in Mosul. One recent December evening from the middle of Daesh-occupied territory in Mosul, Saad spoke quietly into his cell phone. The Iraqi army had just been mauled at the nearby Salam hospital in a fierce Daesh ambush, and the insurgents were prowling through the streets of Saad's neighborhood. They're moving around the area in their suicide vests. He lives adjacent to the Wahada district on the east bank of the Tigris River, and has borne witness to the latest bout of fighting in the contest for the city. Saad said he heard gunfire and detonation of a suicide bomber who blew himself up amid Iraqi soldiers. He could see the top floor of the hospital ablaze after the Iraqi army retreated. Iraqi security forces have been slowly pushing into the eastern part of Mosul since November 1st, liberating a series of neighborhoods on the outskirts. On December 6th, the Iraqi 9th Armored Division tried a new approach, dashing through several areas in an attempt to seize Wahada, barely a mile from the first of the 5 bridges that connect the two halves of the city. The attack sparked a withering Daesh backlash and brought the war to Saad's doorstep. Until then, he had experienced a deadly battle only through its side effects. Food and fuel prices skyrocketed after advances by Iraqi forces cut off a main supply route from Syria, and the Mosul bridges were bombed by the U.S.-led coalition. Residents in the areas still under Daesh control also have to fear the group's increasing paranoia. To prevent Mosulis from passing information to the military, the insurgents now kill everyone caught in possession of a phone. Ahmad, who lives in the Al-Quds area near the eastern fringe of the city, saw jihadists suddenly turn up at a neighbor's house where they found several mobile phones. They shot 3 of the occupants immediately. You can't trust anyone, says Ahmad, who suspects that Daesh had been tipped off by supporters of the group. Fortunately, the insurgents have had little time to focus on population since they're battling the Iraqi military. and the house searches have become less common. In eastern part of Mosul, medical treatment is extremely hard to come by. Daesh has taken the medicine from the hospitals and using it for its fighters in field hospitals they have set up. They don't care what happens to the civilians. If you want to go to a doctor, you have to go to the other side of the river, but that's no longer possible, as all of the bridges have been bombed. The insurgents have cracked down brutally on any form of resistance by the inhabitants. They have conducted thorough house searches for weapons to forestall unarmed uprising. But fed up by the jihadist cruel regime and increasing deprivations heaped on them, Mosul's inhabitants revel in small acts of defiance. One of the foreign fighters asked us for directions to the front line. We sent him the wrong way, recalls Ahmed gleefully. Defying Daesh can carry a bigger danger. When the insurgents pulled out of the Musarrif neighborhood last November, they called on the population to follow them deeper into the city, says Mohammed. Daesh asked people to leave their houses and retreat with them, but they refused. The people put their lives at risk by refusing. Mohammed's neighborhood is now controlled by the elite Iraqi government counterterrorism units that have spearheaded the assault into the city, but his family is still unable to leave the house as Daesh maintains a constant barrage of mortar fire that pours into Musarrif. So, even in the areas that have been managed to be retaken, all is not well. Now, we're going to discuss the FBI director's warning. FBI Director James Comey told U.S. Senators on Tuesday that intelligence and law enforcement agencies are concerned a terrorist diaspora will occur globally in a few years after Daesh loses control. Comey testified before Senate's Homeland Security Commission hearing on global terrorist threats. The so-called caliphate will be crushed. The challenge will be, though, through the fingers of that crush are going to come hundreds of very dangerous people. They will not all die on the battlefield in Syria and Iraq. There will be a terrorist diaspora sometime in the next 2 to 5 years like we've never seen before. Nations must be ready. We must prepare ourselves and our allies, particularly in Western Europe, to confront the threat, because when Daesh is reduced to an insurgency and those killers flow out, they will try to come to Western Europe and try to come here to the United States to kill innocent people. Fighting terrorism is FBI's number one priority, but the terrorist threat against the United States remains persistent and acute. As the threat to harm Western interests evolves, we must adapt and confront challenges, relying heavily on the strength of our federal, state, and local and international partnerships. Our success depends on interagency and international cooperation. All right, folks. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Jessie's POV. You can check out my website, jessiespov.com. I sometimes post show prep that doesn't make it on air. And you can also email me here at the station, jessiespov at KLRNRadio. And be sure and stay tuned, because up next is the second full episode of Constitution and Culture with Susan Swift and Dan Wright. And on that note, yes, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. It's got to get it queued up for you. On that note, folks,